The one thing you can't do is f up the bag. As long as you don't f up the bag, you're golden, right? And he's f up the bag. And not only is he f up the bag, but he's f up the bag in a very spectacular fashion with not even any sort of care or consideration. Like, it's Chapo Boys vindicated, Officer Revolt. Yeah. Let's get back to the tariffs, baby. It's tariff time.
By the tariffs and trade policies announced by President Trump this week. Friday, losses intensified after China matched the president's tariffs. The Dow, S&P 500, and NASDAQ all fell more than 5.5%. That added to Thursday's losses, making this the worst two-day streak for the market since the early days of the COVID pandemic. The president is spending the weekend at his Florida resort. CBS News senior White House correspondent Weijia Zhang is traveling with the president and joins us now. Weijia, good morning.
Good morning to you, Dana, and good morning to everybody. You know, last night, President Trump attended a lavish fundraising dinner that cost $1 million a person after spending much of the day at his golf club. He says he is not worried about those nosediving markets and that big business is not worried about the tariffs because, quote, they are here.
Sick. He's not worried about it. Great. Well, if he's not worried about it, then it's fine, I guess. Dude, again and again and again, I repeat myself on this, but it is crazy how much leeway Republicans get in general, but especially Donald Trump gets when being an out of touch. It will never not be wild to me. He gets to do whatever he wants, dude. It is crazy. He's just like, he's sitting there. He's like, yeah. Oh, the markets are suffering. Well, I'll make them suffer even more. Who cares? Believe it. It doesn't matter to me. And it should not matter to you. I'm golfing. I'm too busy. And it's just like his fans will just be like, yes, Mr. President, I love you. You're so great. Thank you for disappearing my 401k. It's awesome.
Here to stay. But we spoke with one small business owner who says she is already feeling financial pain. At the Lotus Food Market in Lake Worth, Florida. Owner Marwa Ahmed brews Italian espresso beans, sells lamb from New Zealand, sweets from Turkey, and roasted sesame oil from Japan.
How much of the stuff on your shelves is imported?
Yeah, bro, look at this. 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 The White House provides this update on President Trump's weekend. The president won his second-round matchup in the Senior Club Championship today in Jupiter, Florida, and advances the championship round tomorrow. Maggie Haberman says Trump skipped fallen soldier ceremony for golf because he stopped caring about optics. This would also explain the White House celebrating Trump's golf score today. Like, he is straight up taking a what are you going to do about it attitude. And it's kind of interesting because I wonder what this does to his base. Like, will they still rally around him unconditionally? All signs point to yes, but I will say it won't go on like this. I don't foresee this. I don't foresee his careless nature. I don't see his careless nature being seen as a positive for as long as he thinks he can get away with it. I think there's going to be a moment where he realizes like his fans are also mad. Like, there will always be a number of people at this stage that will glaze Donald Trump no matter what he does. Okay, no matter what he does, he fancies himself to be the king, and there are people that will unconditionally defend his decisions no matter what. But that number is not going to stay at like 40%, and it's not going to stay at even 30%. And once it reaches a certain pivotal point, especially if he keeps crashing the economy, if he keeps crashing the economy like a total, I think he might actually get removed from office. Lamar, this is my wild take. Watching CNBC yesterday convinced me the Capitals were dooming. Yeah. Because the one thing you can't do is f up the bag. As long as you don't f up the bag, you're golden, right? And he's f up the bag. And not only is he f up the bag, but he's f up the bag in a very spectacular fashion with not even any sort of care or consideration. Like, it's Chapo Boys vindicated, Officer Revolt. Yeah, I still have some friends and family who still support him. Yes, but what did they say? A lot of you have relatives that are Trump supporters. Ask them And I believe what they will say right now is, oh, there's a plan here. Oh, like I get that there's going to be a period of struggle, but I think it's for a good thing overall. That is different from what they thought yesterday. Because what they thought yesterday was, oh, he's glorious. There's nothing wrong. Shut up, libtard. This is what I voted for. Right? That over the course of 2 days has turned into, yeah, this will work out in the long run. I believe it. Trust the process. Which is one step removed. I mean, it's certainly not the same as it was 2 days ago, 3 days ago, where it was like, yeah, we're winning so much. I love winning. To it's trust the process. It's going to work. And it will eventually turn into, if this works out, it's going to be great. And everyone's going to know it's great. And you will all be wrong. And eventually it will turn into, okay, this is not great at all. What is he doing? To, you know, a bunch of former Trump supporters turning into the Butler, Pennsylvania guy. And those are the guys with the guns. And those are the guys who are angry and get very angry and have a proclivity towards violent demonstration. So just saying, it can't go on like this for too long. There is going to be, because I'm noticing that even the Trump supporters are basically saying like, I don't know, I'm sure this will work out in the long run, right? That's different than what they were saying 2 days ago before he plummeted the stock market. Feel me? A quick thread of charts showing how Trump's economic agenda is going so far. Trump has had the same impact on economic uncertainty as a global pandemic. That's amazing. That is amazing. That's incredible. Like, global pandemic killing millions has the same impact. Businesses shutting down globally, supply chains completely crippled, has the same impact as Donald Trump haphazardly putting together a chat GPT economic policy. Picked up right where he left off, Lamont. Yeah. That was just the US version. What is particularly impressive that he's managed this on a global scale. Starting to get the feeling that Trump annotation is going to be the chart equivalent of a layer of volcanic ash in a fossil record. US consumers are reacting very, very negatively. These are the worst ratings for any US government economic policy since records began. Well over half of Americans expect the economy to deteriorate over the next year. Again, the highest figure ever recorded. People are also very, very worried about job losses. Just 25% of adults say they expect their finances to look better in 5 years than today. Just 25%. Those are the loyalists. That's lower even than than at the nadir of the Great Recession. This one is fun. Remember when Trump won the inflation election as voters united behind him because they were pissed off at rising prices? Fast forward a few months and Americans' inflation expectations are now as high as they were at the peak of the Biden era price rises. Dude. JP Morgan is saying that Americans are going to experience negative real wage growth again by Q3 of this year. Q2 and Q3 of this year is when Americans are going to feel the impact. That is record breaking. That is also incredibly unsustainable. The fact that they already experienced negative real wage growth under the Biden administration caused a complete collapse of the Biden favorabilities. It destroyed Biden's legacy, paired up with obviously the genocide that Biden was participating in. But like that was a major factor. Negative real wage growth is like twice. Negative real wage growth in two different terms back to back is psychotic, dude. This is the wealthiest country on the planet. It's especially sad for people that are my age, right? You go to college, horrible job market. Like, think about it. I went to college in 2009. It was over at that point. You know what I mean? I went to college in 2009, got out by 2013. It's over at that point. What are you supposed to look forward to? You know, there's a period of stability and then there's COVID. And then now Trump comes in again. There's hyperinflation not hyperinflation, but like massive inflation under Brandon, possible hyperinflation under Trump. Like, if you are a millennial onward, your life has just been dog shit. There's never been a moment for hope. Not even like the brief super growth period in the 90s. You know what I mean? There's just never been, you have never experienced like the glory of the 90s or anything like that. It's just always bad. That is not sustainable. For all the talk about powerful pro-Trump media ecosystem, the share of Americans who have heard negative business news coverage of the government has exploded. Even the podcast bros can't distract Americans from the realities of the stock market. Yeah, you can keep tapping the vein of trans people, of woke, DEI all day, every day. But when your pocketbook gets hit, you don't give a f- about trans people, dog. All of a sudden, it becomes a very real situation for you where you're like, well, Trump is not trans, and he's the one who f***ed me. Go ahead. Talk about how trans people did this over and over again. You see what I'm saying? It's the one thing. I mean, it was the irony here is that this was the reason why, like the most significant reason why Brandon lost. The most significant reason why Biden lost was the economy, was the fact that the recovery came too late. The fact that, I mean, there wasn't really a recovery, but a rebound came too late. And also in the process, like Americans did not forget experiencing negative real wage growth for a year and a half under the Brandon administration. That's something you don't forget. Your salary goes up marginally, but the cost of living explodes. All of a sudden, your dollar doesn't go the same distance that it once did. You are making less money while doing the same job. And the expectation in a healthy society is that the older you get, the more you work, the more money that you're supposed to make, the more purchasing power you're supposed to have, because how much money you make at the end of the day is entirely related to your purchasing power. Pair that up with the already existing unaddressed underemployment crisis in this country, where people are just working gig economy jobs to make a living, to make ends meet, and you have a real volatile situation in your hands. Donald Trump threw a Molotov cocktail on that for no reason. It is crazy. Trump's approval is holding up well with MAGA, but he's rapidly losing support among the rest of the coalition who voted for him in November. Or to put it another way, the view from inside the MAGA echo chamber remains rosy, outside not so much. And he will ply away day by day, even the MAGA people. When it gets to losing 30% of their nest egg, when it gets to losing 40% of their nest egg, when it gets to losing 50% of their nest egg, there's only so much economic pain and economic uncertainty that even the biggest diehard MAGA loyalists can take. Now, I'm not saying there won't be people who will defend it unconditionally and vociferously. There will be, okay? These guys are very dumb. They're not particularly intelligent people. They just want to close their eyes and think about a powerful, strong man who sometimes does things that are unpredictable, but he's doing it. He's setting events in motion that are directionally the right things to do. He's got our best interests in mind, right? What did this guy say? Weren't you one of the people who said it didn't matter whether you vote for Kamala or Trump due to the Palestine issue? Aren't you directly contributing yourself to this issue by dividing the left? Wait, what? This guy is still holding on to this idea that I'm responsible for Kamala Harris's dog campaign. Kamala Harris lost because she didn't listen to voices that I was representing. I was right. You should go take it up with her. Okay? Kamala lost to this. It is so wild. It is so wild to me that you still have the audacity to refuse to listen when your grandparents recognize that reality now. That's the funniest part about this is, like, we were out in the streets earlier today. You think those old people are as lived up as this one random who still, for free, defends the DNC's horrible decisions? How crazy is that? Isn't that wild? Isn't that wild that, like, there are still neoliberals that just only care about this back and forth and, like, defending the DNC, I guess, no matter how bad they get. When you got grandmas and grandpas putting on t-shirts, going out, taking it to the streets and protesting, demanding that the Democrats do something, demanding that the Democrats do anything. You can't be getting outflanked by your grandparents, chatter. Fix your brain. You don't even have decades of propaganda that have socially conditioned you into being a loyal servant of the DNC. The DNC or the Democratic Party hasn't even given you enough amenities for you to do this. There are servants. They serve us. We don't serve them. You can't come in here and be like, the Democratic Party cannot fail. The Democratic Party can only be made to fail. We failed the Democrats. idiot. You know, it's crazy. When you're getting outflanked by your parents, you got to really reconsider.